I was hopeless, defeated, and exhausted. And I was hopeless because I had nothing left in me to give. When I was 10, we moved from Ohio to Missouri, and things got pretty difficult for me. I started getting bullied and just dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety. I got diagnosed with trichotillomania when I was 11, when I pulled out over half of my eyelashes. It is a hair pulling disorder. I kept continuing to do things on my own strength. I was never made to make it through the attacks of the enemy. Who was I to think that I could win a spiritual battle when I was only operating from my earthly flesh? I was struggling to reconcile the light of God with that darkness inside my mind, and I began to turn to things like nicotine, and it led to struggles with self-harm, eating disorders, and eventually trip after trip to the mental hospital. In March of 2021, I got married. I thought that it was good. Just over 2 years ago, I spent a month in a literal swamp where we did intensive trauma processing every day. And when I got home, he left me 3 days later. It was only 7 months after our wedding. Everything just continued to fall apart. In under a 5 months' time, I lost my husband, my job, my apartment, my health, my hair, and my ability to move around freely. After I had been stripped of everything that I had relied on, everything that I had turned to that wasn't God, I made a playlist called Finding Hope that was full of Christian songs from my childhood. I broke down, sobbing, desperate, and weak, and I cried out to God, "I'm not strong enough." And he responded, "You're not supposed to be." He knew that one of the most powerful things for me is music, so it was his spirit that brought me to make that playlist. I had spent so many years knowing of God and even loving him, and yet I had been using him as an emotional dump and release, and then walking out the doors of the church and continuing to try and do things on my own strength. It was in that moment that I had my first true surrender. 2 Corinthians 12 says that when I am weak, he is strong, and his grace is sufficient in my weakness. I didn't have to try and muscle through my shortcomings. I could humbly lean on him, and in my strengths, I could share joy with him and bring him glory. Through everything I went through, his steadfast love did not depart from me, and he never removed his covenant of peace. He never left my side, and I know he never will. I've seen Jesus through my healing because, first of all, I thought it was impossible. Healer, Redeemer, Father, Provider. Jesus came down for a personal relationship to invite me in and pay the cost that I could never pay, just so that he could know me. The Almighty God of the universe came down and suffered to know me. The reason I share with you about these things is not so that you can show me pity, but rather to show you the depth of my depravity, that you could more fully understand the healing power and faithfulness of Jesus in my life.